The views of the guest are that of the guests and do not represent nor reflect the views and opinions of the Lockoutmen channel, the Recruiter Call channel, nor its host. This site content is for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only.
So you're happy, you're excited, you hop on the bus, you go all the way down to orientation, you go all the way down to this new trucking company. You're 3 days in to a new job orientation. 3 days now, not one, not two. You're 3 full days. You're just moments away of getting into that new truck and getting on the road. You done the training, you watched the videos, you sat through hours and hours of waiting. You're ready to start this new chapter with this company. And then in one conversation, it all falls apart. This is the story of Highway Queen 24 on TikTok. Shout out to Highway Queen. This is what happened to this driver. What happened to this driver reveals a lot about the harsh realities of trucking. It raises questions about resilience, second chances, and what we expect from people trying to rebuild their lives with these trucking industries.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Here's the background, drivers. This driver woke up early, like any motivated professional would, ready to face day number 3 of orientation. This should be the last orientation with this company. The shuttle arrives at 7:15 and they all headed to the terminal. But instead of continuing with the training or the driving simulations, they found themselves in limbo, waiting in the driver's lounge for hours while other orientation classes was happening. But for this group, with this particular female driver, there wasn't much left to do. It was an odd situation. You're there to start your trucking career, but instead you're sitting around wondering what's next. Little did she know what was next would change everything. Around 2 p.m., she got the call to HR. The tone shifted. The question of a past accident at her previous company, which was JB Hunt, I believe. The driver, Highway Queen, explained everything. The incident, how the city had to inspect the bridge for the damage, and how their boss at the time had to let them go.
Around 2 o'clock, I was called to the HR desk by another driver, and she wanted me to explain the accident that I had at J&B Trucking. And so I told her all of the details up to a T on what had happened, and I told her that I got discharged because my boss had to call the city to make sure I did not damage the bridge, and that was crossing a line for him, so he had to let me go. And so she told me she had to send these details off to the safety manager for him to approve it. And so about an hour later, I was called back and she told me that the safety manager said that this wasn't going to be possible because this was within the last 6 months, and after the accident I did not have a clean driving record for at least 6 months. And so they told me that I needed to find my own way home.
Now here's where things got a little bit tougher for her. She was honest, transparent, and cooperative. But in trucking, your past, no matter how long it was, follows you everywhere. And that's what happened here. The HR rep told her that the details had to be sent to the safety manager for approval, right? And just an hour later, the verdict came down. She wasn't getting hired. Why? Because the accident happened within the last 6 months. Her driving record wasn't considered clean for long enough. Let's pause here for a second, right? Imagine being in their shoes. And I was there at one point. You're ready to move forward to rebuild, and you're told, sorry, you don't meet the standards. And just like that,
He's gone.
let me just pause the show for a minute. Here's the thing. Now, this young lady was open, honest, concise, and transparent about what happened to her at her last job. She told them that at the time during the recruitment process. I am sure she had that conversation with the recruiter. So at that time, when the recruiter took that information to get her approved, that should have been part of the approval. Hey, this driver was in a situation with another company. Let's find out what it is. Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada. She got approved. Why you approved her if you wasn't going to hire her? And why did it take 3 days? 3 whole days. You was at the latter end of getting this driver into the truck, but you're told, oh, we had to send this up to safety. Shouldn't that have been sent up to safety already? Shouldn't safety already had that information? So you're gonna bring me all the way down here, 12 hours from my house by bus, only to send me 12 hours back home simply because of the information that I gave the recruiter, you just now getting 3 days later. Now, I'm sure the recruitment process was about the same amount of time because they have to check the background. They have to check your motor vehicle report. They had to check your DAC report. They had to check your PSP. And if any situation involves a truck, it's on one of those reports when they pull it. So you mean to tell me you're going to pull the report, you just so happen to miss that one, only to bring me up there, waste my time, and to tell me 3 days later I got to go? That's crazy. That's crazy. This story isn't just about the one person, though. I mean, it kind of almost happened to me. That's why you let them know. If you have an accident, just be open and honest with them. Some companies would have a policy that requires that the accident has to be succeeded within a couple of years or more. My situation happened in a couple of years, but there's been situations with other companies that still lingers and that still present a problem of you getting approved with some of these companies. Now, these trucking companies, they do have high standards for a reason, and I get it. Safety is a paramount with these companies. But when do those standards become barriers? A single accident can derail a career for months. And I know drivers that has like a little accident, maybe they got caught in a ditch. Maybe they scratched up against a trailer. Small accidents happens, but should that be a derailment? Again, like I said, I know some drivers that been in situations that can't even get the job because of it. I know 2 off the top of my head. One is out of the trucking industry, period, just because she got caught in the ditch. And she was never, ever was able to find another job after that. And she tried them all. She tried Swift. She tried Western Express. She tried every second chance company out there that just wouldn't even give her another chance. Because why? She was too new, and they wanted her to drive with another company for about 6 months to a year in order for her to even apply. That's happened to another young lady as well. And that accident wasn't even a big deal. It happened in a truck stop where most accidents happen. But she couldn't get another trucking job after that, all because of a small accident. But here, I believe this young lady was transparent. She told them what happened, open, honest, and I'm assuming that she told the recruiter, only to get put all the way up 12 hours away from the house, 3 days in, only to be told on the 3rd day, nah, we're going to have to put you on a bus and send you back packing. It does raise a question, though, for these small accidents, because some of these drivers are brand new. They need a chance. Are these policies helping to create a safer driver? Or are they simply shutting people out who might still have lots to offer, though? This driver, Queen, Highway Queen, wasn't reckless. They made a mistake that didn't even damage the bridge, by the way, But because of the timing, the mistake defined her future. And this isn't unique. Thousands of drivers face similar situations every year. So what is the solution, people? Is there a way to balance safety with second chances? Let's not forget the human side of this. When HR told her the news, it wasn't just about losing a job, but it was about being stranded. You was about to strand this lady. You told this lady, hey, you're going to have to figure out a way to get home. Hey, whoa. I spent 3 days up here. All this could have been told when I was going through the recruitment process. They said she had to find her way home. She had to scramble for an Uber to catch the next bus, and the bus ride 12 hours back to Minnesota.
And so they told me that I needed to find my own way home. And this was around 2:45, 3:15. And she told me that the next bus would be at 4. And so I had to get an Uber by myself and figure out how I was getting home.
I love Minnesota, by the way. I got to get back up there somehow, some way. Imagine sitting on a bus, replaying everything in your head, wondering what you could have done differently. The frustration, the disappointment, the uncertainty is overwhelming. And yet, this is the reality for so many drivers trying to break into the industry.
I got to the bus station at 2:15, and the bus ticket that the company supposedly got for me was at 2:30. And when I got there, I did not have a bus ticket in my email, so I called the company and I said, I don't have an email yet. And they told me that, when they tried to schedule the bus ticket, it was already sold out. So the next bus that would be going to Minnesota was 10 p.m. And so I bought that bus ticket myself, and I sat there till 4 p.m. And then I got on a Trailways coach bus and I headed to Des Moines, Iowa. This was about 6-hour drive. And then once I got to Des Moines, there was a layover where I went on to a Jefferson bus, and that bus took about another 6 hours, and I finally arrived at the St. Paul Union Depot at 4:30 in the morning. And I had realized that I had been on 2 buses for about 12 hours, and I was exhausted. And so I had to get an Uber home, and that Uber took about another hour to get there. So finally, I got to my home at 5:30 in the morning.
12 hours. Setbacks like this aren't the end. They are just a part of the journey. The road to success, especially in trucking, isn't a straight line. It is full of detours, challenges, and yes, rejection. But every rejection is a chance to reflect, to learn, to plan your next move. For those watching who might be in a similar situation, remember, your past doesn't have to define your future. It's about how you respond, how you grow, and how you keep moving forward. So I'm going to leave this right here for you guys. So what's your guys' thoughts about this? This is crazy. The 12-hour bus ride, the 3-day orientation, only to be told that you're going to be sent back home. I would like to know you guys' thoughts about this in the comments below. How would you feel? I know I would have been pissed. You got me all the way up there 12 hours by bus only to get back home 12 hours later. 24 hours on a bus. Wow, that's crazy. Only to be brought up there to spend 72 hours only to be told, oh, sorry, we can't help you. We don't need you because of the accident. Well, I'd let them know about the accident. How come you couldn't tell me this over the phone? You could have told me this over the phone. The phone do work. You could have called me back and said, hey, Lockout, because of the accident that happened 6 months ago, we won't be able to bring you on. Oh, okay, cool. No problem. Thank you. And I'll just keep it pushing, keep it moving. Next. But a lot of you drivers have been in this situation, and I want to hear about it and what you have done. And are you still in the industry? Because the 2 that I mentioned earlier is not. The one literally had to go back to school for a whole new trade, while the other one went back into the business they was in before they got into trucking. It's crazy. It's crazy. Till next time, everybody.